Well, welcome. My name is Felix Cisneros. We're here at Bipolar and the hotel zone next to Umi. Today's purpose is for me to introduce myself, introduce my past, present, and future as a foundation, right? For you guys to get to know where I come from, where I am today, and where we're heading, right? And so yeah, I want to give a big thank you to Rowan, for allowing us to record here at Bipolar. I highly recommend you guys to come check it out. I just had a mazapan latte, which was incredible. And so you guys have to come check it out. This is an incredible place. And yeah, well, stay tuned. We're going to be speaking a little bit about, like I said, my past. We're going to go a little bit raw. And then we're going to also speak a little bit about the future, the present moment of what we're doing, how I started my real estate career, what the vision is moving forward, right? And what are the exciting news that are going to be coming along the way, and what has molded me and shaped me to be here with you guys today, right? So yeah, I'm super excited to be here with you guys, and yeah, let's make it happen. Well, I was born in Campeche, in División del Norte, Campeche, which is very close to Escárcega, Campeche. And my parents, my dad is from Sinaloa, my mom is from Veracruz. I have an older sister. Her name is Yesenia. And I grew up, my first 5 years, I grew up down in Escárcega, Campeche. That's where I was raised for my first 5 years. And then we immigrated to the U.S. We actually did the whole border walking scenario. I come from a very humble family. Financially speaking, humble family, but very loving. Both of my parents are very, very loving. My dad's an incredible man that persists, hardworking man. My mom also very loving, very charming. Love to take care of the people. I grew up in Campeche. Then we immigrated down to the U.S. when I was 5 years old. We did the whole scenario of crossing, literally jumping the border and going to United States, doing the American dream. I remember a little bit on that time because I was 5 years old, and I was doing the whole thing. I remember that when we did do that jump, we drove a car with no window all the way from the border all the way up to Oregon, because that's where our final destination was. And I remember that car had no window. It was cold. We had blankets, and yeah, it was literally following the dream with the family. And yeah, I was there. And then my grandpa Felix died in 2000, and we decided to come back, and we did the whole thing over again. And that time was a little bit more difficult. I was 10 years old. We did it multiple times. We got caught by immigration. We got caught by the gangs, by like the cholos, hold a gunpoint. One of my uncles gunpoints my cousins with knives, and me and my sister. We had all the jewelry, the money. They didn't see us or anything like that. But yeah, we got chased by the cholos with rocks and trying to take care, trying to take of us. And that was at 10 years old. I quite didn't understand what was really happening, but it was happening, right? And so yeah, that was at 10 years old, I was literally having experiences that were out of normal. And then one time we got caught. And that same time we got caught, we went back they shipped us to Tijuana, and the whole family we had to stay in Tijuana for a month, right? Because we didn't have money to go back. It was about maybe 15 of us, 15 or 20 of us, the whole family that was crossing the border. What did that teach me? I think unknowingly that taught me a lot of perseverance, because we didn't, it was not just one time that we tried. A lot of enduring hardships and enduring we ran out of food one time. Actually, for 2 days we ran out of food and water in the desert, in like the Nogales area. We crossing the border. My dad got lost with some other cousins. They got lost in the desert. I almost got left behind, because the vans come and pick you up when you're doing this whole transition. You're in the grass, like laying down, so immigration can't see you. and the vans come pick you up. You get up in the vans and then you move fast, right? That time I was falling asleep. I fell asleep. I don't know why, I fell asleep, and the vans came and my mom was yelling my name. And I remember I was sort of sleeping, my mom yelling my name, and I just woke up and there's like, where's the kid? Where's the kid? Where's the kid? And for a split moment, I think if I would have been left out, and I probably wouldn't be here saying this story, But yeah, I mean, it was that we ran out of food, we ran out of water. We had to check this out. We had to break it. My uncle had to break a cactus, like with a rock, a cactus, for us to drink water at that time. Yeah, those are we and finally we made it to the United States. I lived a fairly okay life. Bit of growing up, I was not in the best neighborhood, But then I moved into Corvallis, Oregon. I had a good middle school years there, and then something drastic happened. I got incarcerated when I was 16 years old. So I ended up serving about 4 years out of my life incarcerated. And from there, when I got released, I had to make a decision whether to stay or not stay. And through the district attorney and my PO and everybody involved, they said that was the best for me to come back to Mexico because I was in U.S. I was an immigrant, right? So it was best for me to come back to Mexico. And that's how sort of things started. I was very ashamed of how people would see me, perceive me, from coming from that background. And ever since I was a little kid, ever since I was 14 years old, I made a promise to my family that I wanted to build them all a home, right? So that was the first sort of seed for me, not knowingly that I wanted to do real estate and I wanted to be in the investment side of it, right? And I don't know what I was really talking about, but I made that promise to my family that I wanted to build them a home, not buy them a home, build them a home. And that was at 14 years old, and that dream never stopped. That dream, just kept growing in my heart. And then when I came back to Mexico, I started my career, right? But my career in sales, to tell you the truth, started when I was 7 years old. Selling door to door my mom's tamales. That's where my sales career started. Selling tamales door to door when I was 7 years old, and I think that's where I got my me not being afraid to just go out there, and knocking on doors and cold calling and doing all these the hard work, understanding my background, understand the perseverance, my parents, the work ethics, everything that comes along, the values, everything that I have, just going at it and making things happen. But that's when I started my career in sales when I was 7 years old. And yeah, being here in Mexico once again, I started to, I didn't speak much English. Even though I'm Mexican, I didn't speak a lot because I didn't speak a lot of English down in Oregon, just with my parents. So my Spanish wasn't that great. So when I started in the industry, I still remember this. People used to call me guarachero, naranjero. It's kind of funny because I was so, the way I spoke in Spanish was not so professional, right? So hearing all these things, there was always a motivation for me because I love to read. That's something that I love to do. I love to read. I like to get educated. And all these things were a challenge for me, right? I had a little dyslexia when I was a kid too, so it was a little bit hard for me to understand information and capture information. I used to mumble a lot. I used to stutter, at a young age. But little by little, I understood something, that if you really focus on educating yourself and you really focus on understanding a concept, right, you're able to, if you put enough time, you're able to become a master of those concepts, right? And that's what I started doing. When I started in sales, at this time around when I came back to Mexico, I started selling T-shirts on Fifth Avenue, earning $150 every 15 days, and From there, I went to Cocobongo, selling tickets at Cocobongo. Then I started in the party scene. Then from there, I went to a little bit of timeshare. Timeshare taught me a lot of sales strategies and etc. But I didn't stay there much. I didn't like the ethics and the values that I carry around it. And in 2013, that's when I started real estate. And yeah, just really recapping, recapping that, the past and how I started real estate and everything around, these parts of the hardships part, 5 years old, jumping the border for the first time. At 10 years old, doing it again, but multiple times, jumping the border with my family, getting caught by immigration, being locked up in a cell, in an immigration cell back in Houston, Texas, and getting deported with my whole family, right? 30 of us or 15 of us, 20 of us. I don't really remember how many of us was. I just remember there were a lot of us. And staying there and going back, being incarcerated for almost 4 years out of my life, coming to Mexico and struggling, just connecting with my fellow Mexicans, right? That's also was a struggle. So all I know is that the first phase of my life, from when I was born to when I was 20 and I came back to Mexico, I learned how to be a perseverant man. I learned how to be a man that doesn't give up, right? I learned that other people don't define you, you define yourself, right? And I learned that anything's possible, right? It's not just following the American dream, it's following your dreams. So for me, at least those 20 years out of my life have taught me that, for coming from my mom, from my dad, that we can be very perseverant, hardworking, and we can make anything happen, really anything happen. As long as you put your mind into it, we can make things happen. So yeah, present moment, we're launching my personal brand, Felix Cisneros. But before that, there's a whole story how I started my career in sales, right? And that goes back, when I was 20 years old and I got back here to Mexico. I started selling t-shirts on 5th Avenue in Playa del Carmen. I started selling t-shirts there, earning, $150 a month, and then from there I skipped into Cocobongo, selling tickets in Cocobongo. That was very fun, a very, very cool job, and then from there I went to timeshare. Timeshare was very informative. I just didn't like nothing to timeshare. I just didn't like the values and ethics that they were selling there. But there's a lot of things that I learned, good things that I learned from that experience. Funny story there that has marked my road is that I always wanted, I knew, even back from when I was a kid, that I shared with you guys that I wanted to build a home to all my family members. One time in the sales room in front of 30 or 40 salespeople, that this marked the history of my entire career. I had to actually give a speech, in front to them or a sales training or something like that. But when I went in front of them, I was 22 years old. I froze, and the only thing that came out of my mouth was persistence beats resistance. And everybody laughed. Everybody just completely started laughing of me. And ever since that phrase stuck in my head, persistence beats resistance. And today I know that it does, right? I know that if you persist, anything that resists to you in life, and you have a goal, you will achieve it. I just know for a fact that you will achieve it. And why do I say that? Because today in the present moment, I'm achieving my goals, the ones that I've decided to put out from, over a decade ago. So yeah, I started my real estate career back in late 2013. And from there, I started automatically, working with a very influential person down in Playa del Carmen. And we started working on a team. I was always a leader. Ever since I was a little kid, I was always been a leader, in a good way and a bad way. If something broke in the house or at church, I was the one that was the fault. I think that made me a leader. Even though it was not my fault, it was always the fault for Felix. So I've always been a leader. So yeah, we managed a team. We started commercializing projects down in Playa del Carmen. Things started to evolve, grow. There's a lot of hardships that went through those experiences. Some, worked out, some didn't work out. Then I went solo back in 2015, 2016. I was solo. That was my first time like being a real estate agent and with my own self, but I have a lot of experience. I did well in sales. That's something that I every single consecutive year I was average. I was always doing something, but I was constantly learning, right? And for me, investments was more personal. I like to be more in person, and my sales technique with it was not always driven by making money or making a commission, but it was driven by really connecting with the investor and really connecting with a developer, or really finding something that I really enjoyed and love, right? But at that time, I did not understand that. So there's a lot of things that for me that I had to learn throughout the process of evolving, that I had to I guess mature, right? And then I was an account manager for a corporation out of Chicago, for all of Mexico and the Caribbean. That job was amazing, great experience as well. And then I took some time off. I went down to Thailand, enjoyed Thailand. I came back to Mexico, and really had a good time, being an account manager for brokers at a national level for a very well-known company here in Tulum. That was my first introduction to Tulum. That was about 5 years ago. And little by little, I started getting, commercial directions, like getting more experience managing teams, marketing, sales. And a few years back, like about 5 years back, I started getting an idea of developing a micro-sustainable city. Now, I know it sounds crazy, especially knowing my background and knowing where I come from and everything. But this is something that I really want to emphasize, right? Don't ever be afraid of making an idea, or having an idea and then trying to make it happen. Don't ever be afraid, right? And that's the decision that I decided to make. At first, the idea came that's like, well, if I want to open up, or if I want to build a micro-sustainable city, which I had no clue, by the way, right? We're going to need a lot of capital. And the first thing that came to mind, I was like, oh, maybe we should open up an investment association. Now, sometimes being naive, it could play good for you because you're like a child. It has no limits, right? And my naiveness decided to open up an investment association, having no clue of what I was doing. But that's the part that I think that I really enjoyed and love about myself, that I'm a risk taker. And knowing my background, knowing the things where I come from, following that dream, right? I saw the dream and I was like, I'm going to go out there and make it happen. Now, I didn't know the challenges that I was going to go through, right, to make it happen. But I opened up an office in here in Tulum last year. I ended up putting money. I lost the money. I started doing the foundations, the fundamental of the legal structure of the company. Put money into that, the philosophy, everything that goes around it, guys. And for the first time, I hit rock bottom in a financial way. But going back into it and seeing the story, it has taught me that we cannot be so emotional with our decisions, but we also have to be logical, right, with our decisions. So bringing these two along and creating a journey through these lessons, then you become more of you have a foundation, a laid out foundation of where you want to head out, right? So I don't take it as a loss. I take it as that I invested money in a bachelor degree or a master's degree in business and finance, and that has set me up to what I'm doing today, right? And I started making really great relationships here in Tulum in the present moment with very well-known developers in the area that have a great vision for the future of Tulum. And for now, I also realize I have also understood that some goals take time, right? And some goals, even though in my mind I wanted to make them happen in 12 months, I realized that some goals that I wanted to make it happen in 12 months are goals that are going to happen in 5 to 10 years, right? But there's also a saying that if you have something in mind, go all out. I have, the people that know me, I'm a risk taker. I'm not afraid. I'm not afraid to fall. I'm not afraid to fail. I have always this one quote: if you fall, fall forward. Make sure you get up and keep taking another step forward. You know what I mean? So for me, it's not about failure. It's about learning. It's about being a student of life. And today in my present moment, we are working with projects that that are very attractive for the future of Tulum, right? And my business history has positioned me today to understand where are the best investment opportunities, here in Tulum or in Mexico, that go with real estate, investment opportunities that go with real estate, that will bring you heritage and a legacy, something that will last for a long time, art, culture, right? And community. These are the things that I want to focus, and these are the things that I'm focusing on today, right? I'm not just selling you four walls or an ROI. ROI, I think it's something that comes with fundamentals that come with values and principles that, comes from the developers. So for me, it's really sharing the story. I'm going to invite you guys to share a story with me, with developers that have purpose, that have values, that have integrity, and that really want to see something different for the future of Tulum and Mexico, right? In general, in the investment world. So yeah, this is something that me personally, I'm excited. I'm excited to enhance this journey, this journey of storytelling, this journey of storytelling on how investments are grown and how investments can last, and how culture and art could combine community, and how you could leave a legacy behind and heritage, for you, for your family, for your kids, for your grandkids, for the people that you love, for the community, and make things last. That's something that today at the present moment that I'm focused on 100%, and bring elegance and sophistication into it, and yeah, I mean, hey, for what you guys already know about me, I sometimes have to pinch myself because I feel like I don't supposed to be here. But the more and more I realize is that I do belong here, and I belong here more than anybody, like not anybody, but more than what I think, right? Because it has taken me a long time to feel that I belong here, right? And today I do feel, and I think that's the most important thing for me, that I belong. Future, I think future comes with legacies, with heritage, and legacy and heritage. For me, if I fast forward my life to my last breath, right? I think the most important thing is family, right? Family for me is the most important thing. I currently don't have a family, my kids or grandkids or anything, but if God gives me life and my last breath at 90, 95, 100 years old, I want to be able to take my last breath, in my deathbed with seeing my kids, seeing my grandkids, my great grandkids, and let them well off through the relationships I am building with my friends, my investors, the people that I'm currently in the present moment working with, right? And building those long-lasting relationships. So for me, I think the future looks and building relationships that outlast us as human beings. Us, creating things that are timeless, like art, like architecture, buildings that are architecting unique, right? Relationships that becomes, investors becomes friends, friends become family, right? And I think these things comes with values and principles, things that we share, things that we are able to transmit and communicate. And you attract your tribe by who you are. You attract the vibe of the people that you become. And how do you become that? That's by you reading, that's by you writing, that's by you educating yourself on what is the legacy or what is the future that you want to create. And I invite all of you guys that, because the future, it could be very tricky. It could be a dream or something that you have in your mind. But the closest thing that you can make your dream come true, it's by writing it down, because it has come true when you write it down. It has the words and the way you writing it down has power for it to start manifesting, for it to start coming together, right? And also having faith, having faith that things will come along. But I also believe that the role that a man has is to have direction, is to have a purpose, a purpose that is well fundamental, like has fundamentals and pillars that it's unbreakable, right? So for you to build, or for us to build wealth, not just financial wealth, but wealth, health, financial, family, wealth and lifestyle, and everything that you could define wealth, right? It's having a balance, and it's really understanding these principles of daily routines, and that's how we create our future, by winning the day, but knowing where you're going. So for me, the future, it's about family, legacy. For me, the future is about building relationships that outlast us, right? And relationships that come with the right values and principles, and in an investment world, it's for us to build wealth that that has culture, that has art, wealth that smart investments that will not vanish, that will not become old in 2-3 years, that will become timeless, throughout the years, right? And so yeah, I think for me, the future, it's bright. I see it bright. I see it at building relationships, you know, uh, building relationships like the relationships that I currently have now. That I'm going to be introduce you guys to different friends, that have amazing vision as well here for Tulum. Friends that are very exclusive into the type of inventory that they choose to build and to commercialize here in Tulum. Friends that are overlooking or looking the growth of Mexico, and how Mexico is going to grow into a country that's going to become known globally, more for architecture, more for investment, more for culture, more for art, because Mexico is very artistic, very cultural, right? So throughout this journey, that I invite you guys to follow the journey. I invite you guys to be part of this journey, not just in the investment side of it, but through inspiration, through motivation, through art, through culture, right? I want you guys to come in through this journey. Invite you guys to join me and find out the story behind the people that are building these incredible buildings, these incredible villas, this incredible historical buildings in Mexico, here in Tulum, the culture that we're building in Tulum, you know, for legacy, for, you know, time. You know, time is a perception, right? But how do we build a legacy? How do we build this timeless machine? Is by building things that are sophisticated, by building things that have a meaning, right? So, yeah, I invite you guys to come and explore the future with us in this story that we're going to be sharing. And yeah, I'm super excited. I'm happy. I want to say thank you again to Rowan, you know, to Bipolar, for allowing us to be here and having this incredible interview. Come check this place out. I highly recommend it. They're gonna have this incredible vinyls that you can listen to here, different types of things. They have an incredible menu. It's Bipolar, so they have some crazy menu here that you could choose from, the different drinks. So yeah, come and share the story with them and how they're doing and how they're growing this incredible business. And so yeah, I want to give thank you to Chris as well, to the marketing lab that's allowing us to create this beautiful content. So thank you for this as well. And yeah, follow the story, stay tuned, more things are coming. I'm super excited. Let's make it happen. And remember, discipline is the new vibe. Let's keep at it.